finding something funny in your reflection. Here's your look at the brand new Kotobukiya Batman the Killing Joke, the Joker One Bad Day, 1/6 scale pre-painted ARTFX statue. From Kotobukiya, this epic work had a tremendous impact on films and comic books that succeeded it, and is indeed the third time Kotobukiya is releasing a statue from it. One day, having lost all emotional support, a Red Hood gang member is being hunted down by Batman. Cornered with nowhere to run, the man jumps into a river in a frantic attempt to escape. However, chemicals in the water from Ace Chemical Processing Plant bleach his skin white, his hair bright green, and his lips red. Seeing his reflection in the water, the man stumbles to his feet and lets out an endless howling laugh, thus transforming into a madman. And you think you're having a bad day. Before we get a closer look, though, at the Batman the Killing Joke ARTFX statue, One Bad Day, I'd like to thank the folks over at Kotobukiya that did provide this sample early, and we could have a look at this review. It is slated to release in many of the online sites the first quarter of 2023 with the price point at about $159. Let's get down to measuring this statue by grabbing the tape measure, taking it right to the very top of the crazy man's curls. And the Killing Joke Joker stands about 10.5 inches in height, or the statue's 27 centimeters tall. There are two ways to technically display this statue. You can display it the way that we're looking at it right now, or the folks over at Kotobukiya did provide also a backdrop in which you can actually have displayed behind the statue. I'm just going to move the statue just to the side for 1 second here and pick up the card so you guys can see what it looks like. It's a tri-fold card that has, well, from side to side, bottom to top. What you'll do is take the bottom and you'll fold it around, just flipping it down so you guys can see here. And it does also have the little beads, the little ripples causing by the rainfall above. What you'll do, though, is take the sides, you'll fold them inward and do the exact same thing then on the other side. So a lot easier, granted, to do this when we have it laying down. But fold them in, and once you've got them folded into those little slots, which I'm hoping to do right now, there we go, you can then take your statue, and with enough space available provided on your shelf, you've got yourself quite a nice little diorama scene, at least with, again, him being wrapped around by ha-ha-has. I think it's fun the fact that they would have included it. Granted, it's only made of like a shinier cardboard that they would have used for this. But again, if you have the space available, why not? Why not have this displayed against, well, behind what will be the Clown Prince of Crime? Back to the statue, though. Joker is made of plastic, but even though he is made of that material, he still feels quite heavy when you pick him up, though not much can be said, though, for the statue's base. The circular display base, if you were to flip it around, you'll notice it is quite hollow on the bottom. It usually is the case whenever they make statue bases like this. There's a lot of cool texturing going on here. Joker has re-emerged, escaping first from the chemical plant, happens to look down on the reflection of the water that's formed below him, and realizes that a face is staring back at him that he doesn't recognize right away. I like the way they've actually textured this, though the pool of water, as you can see, does have the little ripples from the rainfall above it. It is more smoother to the surface, and that's about the only thing that changes. The coloring is about really the same as the dirt that's around it, so you can see there's a lot more texturing going on to the actual ground that he's stepping on. A lot smoother, of course, again, to the puddle that he's looking down on. It's a really neat-looking statue base. It enough, at least, evokes the idea of what Joker first time sees himself, and then, of course, ultimately snaps, as we can get a closer look certainly at the head sculpt. The head sculpt easily is my favorite thing about this statue. You can see that Joker has just left himself in an unsettled state. I love the big smile that he has across his face. The thing that works the best, I think, for the statue is the way they've colored it. Granted, the statue would look just as good, I think, if it was done in black and white, but just by adding the darker shadowings around the eyes and the darker areas in the sockets, little cornered areas of his cheeks, really is where you see the madness start to unfold here on Joker. Like, of course, in the comics and then in the animated movie that would follow for that, Joker's got his hands, of course, going through his hair. So you can see all the little strands of curly hair sort of peeking their way out in his fingertips. The coloring, like I said, I have to go back on this point. It's one of by far my favorite things about this. I think they've colored this thing perfectly. If you ever remember to go back and see the original comic panels when Joker first sees himself. He's got a little bit of blood you can see there on his face. A little bit trickles down also from his mouth. I like that they've also made the teeth a little bit more grimier, a little more yellow. Just such a cool looking statue. And it looks so good. I mean, especially when you've got it on display. Even though I may not have really the space to have this guy displayed with the back card that they've actually included with it as well, just to have it displayed on its own, I think will still evoke exactly the kind of feelings that I'll get whenever I see the statue in hand. Again, you've got the darker colors really happening here for the face. The skin is kind of more of a bluish tint, but there's a little bit more of a lighter colors that they added to things like his cheekbones, for example. It seems like it's a more lighter color than what he's got for the darker colors for the rest of his face. So more little lighter colors here also on the bottoms of his face as well, but mostly it's really kind of relegated to this darker bluish coloring. There's a nice additional gray that they've airbrushed in there. A little bit of black also there goes a long way. I love also the way that they've sculpted the hair, not only giving it the darker green, but also making it look as if it is wet. Obviously, the rainfall is falling down on him right now. The rest of his outfit, though, despite his hair looking wet, still seems to be relatively dry. What's left behind of his Red Hood costume, for example, he would have done away with his helmet now altogether. But he still has, again, like that tuxedo shirt. A really nice way they wrinkled the inside of that. And there's also a little bit of gap space. That's also something I really like about this statue, too. Like, there feels a lot of extra baggage there for the costume that he's wearing. Instead of actually going the route of just simply sculpting the jacket so close to his body, they've left a little bit of gap space, as it certainly would be the case if Joker or any character would have been leaning forward. Wrinkles also you can see have settled across the surface of the suit. You got some nice additional purples that they've added there for like the armpit area, like the back of his body. Again, it's got some really great coloring. Even though the sculpting is really the thing that sells this statue the most for me, it's really as well the way they've painted it that really gives it exactly the kind of feelings, the emotions I would have when looking at a statue like this. Now, he's kind of in more of a crouch position, kind of just surrendering the idea now that he's become insane. There is a little bit of white there, of course, I guess what would be his legs, not necessarily socks, but the skin, as you can see, from head to toe have all been stained this bleach white. A little bit of purple there also on the laces. And also there's a lot of purple also that makes only just subtle suggestions here on his legs. You can see there's just a little bit of purple as light's sort of hitting on it. It's a great looking statue. Killing Joke is one of my favorite Joker stories. Again, it really is the one that tells the tale of it all. Joker, of course, now looking down and seeing the reflection. Again, as I already mentioned, a reflection that he doesn't recognize right away, but one that he seems to be okay to surrender into. The look that he's displayed here as, again, mimics the way that would the original comic panel would have been. And while, again, I may not have, maybe I'll see if I can move some of my statues around in my collection space shelf. I don't have the space right now to incorporate that tri-fold card that Kotobukiya include with the statue. I really think I will want to try to make the space because I think that's one thing that also will add on to the statue. It's something that doesn't have to be included. It doesn't have to be necessarily something that you're going to be displaying with the statue. But the idea of actually being able to put a card behind him with all the ha's behind it is really one thing that's going to oversell or accentuate the statue when you have this on display. Great job, though, from the folks over at Kotobukiya. Again, this, I think, is the third time that we've gotten ourselves a Killing Joke-inspired statue from Koto. And I love the way they've actually done One Bad Day. A great-looking Joker statue if you get the chance to pick up this one for yourself. So again, this guy is slated to release the first quarter of 2023. And while he may not be out at the time that this video goes up, he will eventually start popping up on online sites and in comic book stores in the next little while if you guys are interested. He goes for the price point of many online sites at $159.99, which again I think is a great price, and Kotobukiya seems to put themselves in a good market space when it comes to the prices of what they charge for their statues. Again, if you guys are a big fan of this one thing I do also think that I like about this is the material that they've used. Generally, Kotobukiya aren't one that branches out into resin. By also keeping this guy as a plastic statue, it keeps the cost down. It certainly does rival the stuff that we would get in a resin format, but by keeping it plastic keeps the cost down and makes things certainly a lot more affordable for your budget, especially if you're getting now into the collection space of statue collecting. But what do you guys think of the Killing Joke One Bad Day Joker? Is this a statue that you guys would be interested to pick up and add to your collection. Let me know down below in the comments section. And again, a big thank you to the folks over at Kotobukiya that did provide this early sample copy of the Killing Joke Joker One Bad Day that we could have a look at this review. If you guys certainly enjoyed this video, want to hit with a like. If you're loving the content you guys are seeing, and yeah, I do want to certainly stick around for more Kotobukiya reviews and other reviews, then make sure if you haven't already done so that you hit the subscribe button down below and that you also as well turn on the bell notification. There's going to be definitely a lot more videos coming your way, guys. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.